pardon this poor cell phone video. I haven't recorded anything for this channel in a very long time. But I figured I'd go ahead and profile what I played at YCS Indy. It was a mid-range Horus Dogmatika control list. I figured with a wide open format, I wanted to be able to play into virtually anything, and I think the deck did perform that task pretty well. I unfortunately bubbled out. My record was 5-3-1. You needed 6-2-1 to make it to day 2. But even at that point, there were X2s that did not top this event. So the field was pretty tough to play through. I played 9 different decks all day. The closest was two tier limit opponents. One was playing the Horus package, the other one wasn't. My 3 losses was to the pure tier limit player, who just outgrinded me at every turn. The Manadium player, who I built my best 2 boards against, and he cracked them like they didn't even matter. I was not expecting that. And my last loss was actually to Exosister, which, funny enough, on paper has a fantastic matchup against Horus. I drew against the tier limit and Horus player. I beat Runic, Chimera, Kashtira, Earthbox, Vernolith, Medulce, and Sky Striker. So it was a fun event. I'm going to go ahead and pause this and kind of break the deck out a little bit so that I can record and talk with one hand, and I'll be right back. So my core 2 engines of the list were the Horus cards and the Dogmatika cards. Dogmatika overperformed all day. I was originally testing a larger engine than this, and talking with some friends and testing beforehand, we slimmed it down to fit in some more non-engine tech that did come up and performed really well throughout the day. However, I still missed not having a larger engine for the Dogmatika cards. As for the Horus cards, Cubesno F came up 0 times all day, was probably the worst card in the deck. And Canopic Protector, interestingly enough, was supposed to be my grind piece of the whole engine with the non-engine text that I'll get to in a minute. I drew this card 1 time in 9 rounds. I pitched it to get it to set itself, and I ended up killing my opponent that turn anyways, so I never got to use the card the entire tournament. Post-event, I was debating bumping this to 3, but I'm more worried about bricking on it than I am worried about not seeing it. I will say, though, that not being able to bring these names back on your opponent's turn is pretty detrimental to your grind game, so keep that in mind. As for my non-engine good stuffs, per se, you've got the Fenrir's, just best card in the format, basically. But this was the 40th card in the deck, was a random birth. I figured if I drew this card, and I've already, pitched a Fenrir to play Horus monsters or whatever, that would allow me to get that resource back into play and grind. Unfortunately, it never came up. I never drew this card in 9 rounds. The Shufflers overperformed all weekend. With the smaller Dogmatika package, I was actually using these to put back Punishment and Entis so that I could search them again. More so than interacting with my opponent. So I've tweaked that a little bit in the post-event version of the list that I'll share at the end of the video. Prosperity was okay. It didn't feel all that good or all that bad most of the day. It was very difficult to pick the right cards out of the extra deck to resolve Prosperity. Almost every time all day, I only prospered for 3 just to try to see something else, because hitting 6 hurt those extra deck options way too much. And in the last 4 rounds of the day, I drew Prosperity as my 1 draw off of Imseti 5 times, which was really bad tempo for those matchups in the end of the day. So moving forward, I'm actually cutting Prosperity. Talents and Thrust were fantastic all weekend. I will probably be playing more Talents. And Called By is mainly here for Ash, just because of the Imseti interaction. Ash really hurts building the tempo in this. So I wanted at least 1 hard. If I've got it, then fantastic card in the deck. But this came up more for my opponent's graveyard than anything else. Last 9 cards in the list. Droplets and Econ were supposed to be free interactions with all of the Horus monsters coming back, and I did do that on my turn sometimes, but the original intention was to play these on my opponent's turn as I brought back names with Canopic, and since I didn't see Canopic all day, I never got to do that, but on paper, it's fantastic, and these cards just play exceedingly well with those floaters. Slayer overperformed all tournament. There pretty much was not a board that anyone built that I was not able to crack so long as I had access to this card. And then my last cheeky thing here was thrusting into Metaverse so that I could get to Secret Village. I did hard draw the Secret Village a couple of game ones and won with it. I never did do the thrust play, but I hard opened a Metaverse into Secret Village for a win one round. So the interactions with this on Mseti and the Dogmatika cards was just great all weekend. I was citing a second copy of this, and I'll actually be playing more of this in the main moving forward. On to the extra deck, you've got kind of the standard 3/8s there with Trainer, Photon, and Titanic. I gained Trainer probably four or five times throughout the day. I only got impermed once. The other times I resolved it for 3 and built some pretty cool boards. Photon Lord underperformed all day. Every single time I made it, I felt like I would have been in a better spot to just leave the 2 level 8s on board to trigger their interactions during my opponent's turn. Titanic came up a lot. And then this Galaxy Eyes package was actually pretty cool. So Cypher lets you snatch steal something, and then you can rank up into this one to pop a face-up card, and then rank up into this one to pop any card. So any 2 level 8s gives you a steal and 2 pops, and then you can link their thing off with your Cypher Blade to go into this line down here, or just kill them with their own stuff. So I thought these 3 were pretty cool, but they made the extra deck pretty tight fitting them in. For the Dogmatika engine, we've got the Titaniclad to get the Fleur-de-Lis search after Nadir grabs us Ecclesia, who grabs us Punishment. Intis was fantastic, along with Aggregator for the negates. I never did do Meilong to compulse anything, but on paper, it's just there as the easiest interaction to do with that. I did miss playing a couple of extra cards for that Dogmatika engine, which I'll show here at the end of the video as well. Pretty standard link package here. Interestingly enough, I only made SP 2 or 3 times throughout the whole day, and I hard made it every time. I never had the option to do it off the IP line, and Goddess never came up at all. So that sort of is what it is. Neither did these 2. I think I made Typhon once to keep a Baron from negating something so that I could bounce something else on the board and then kill with the Horus monsters. But Zeus never came up at all. Side deck was pretty generic for the weekend. Board breakers up top. Grave Hate. I expected a lot more Tear Lament than I even had to play against. Zombie World was just given a little credit to Flunder, which I'm glad I didn't have to play. The second Secret Village, I think I said this earlier in the profile, came up multiple times in the side. Bringing this one in pretty much any time I was going first in game 2 or game 3. And then bringing this in, especially when I played Striker and Runic, came up, and I won both of those matchups off of that card pretty much alone. Herald being for the purely deck that I didn't have to play either. So as for the post-event changes, here's just that quick overview. I did drop the Cubesnuef. I dropped the Kashtira Birth, and I dropped the 3 Prosperities. I added in the 3rd Ecclesia and the 2nd copy of Punishment, because I did want to see these cards a lot more often all day. I added in the 2 additional copies of Talents here, and then I went ahead and main decked the 2nd copy of Secret Village. As for post-event side and extra, the only change in the side is I played a 2nd Herald in place of that Secret Village that I mained. Just for purely, I couldn't think of anything else that I'd rather be able to side better against. And then on the extra, I went ahead and cut the Photon Lord, the Typhon, and the Underworld Goddess in order to fit in a second Entis so that I could stop shuffling this and Punishment back with my shufflers, and to play a couple more options there to send. Bucephalus being a big 35 that I can dump off of Punishment, and to then dump the Garua to draw a card, just to help with the lack of prosperity and being able to dig deeper with that. I will say that there is potential that I drop this middle line of this to put the Typhon back in. That's just kind of one of those up in the air things right now.